Hello guys and welcome back to OdnanFCB. There has been a lot of discussion recently surrounding João Pedro and whether he could actually become Barcelona's future number 9 under Hansi Flick. And honestly, after looking deeper into his profile, I really think this is a player that makes a lot of sense for Barcelona. So today we are going to break down exactly why João Pedro fits this Barcelona team, what makes him different compared to the current attacking options, how he could connect with players like Lamine Yamal, Pedri and Dani Olmo, and also the concerns that Barcelona would need to think about before making a move. So let's get straight into it. First of all, João Pedro is not your traditional number 9. He is not the kind of striker that simply stays between the centre-backs waiting for crosses or tap-ins. What makes João Pedro interesting is his mobility and his intelligence in build-up play. He constantly drops deep, drifts wide, links with teammates, creates space for others, and helps attacks flow naturally. And honestly, that fits Hansi Flick's football perfectly. One thing Flick clearly wants from his forwards is movement and fluidity. He does not want static attackers. He wants players that can rotate positions, combine quickly, press aggressively, and make the attack unpredictable. João Pedro does exactly that. When you watch him at Chelsea, despite all the problems that team has, you can still clearly see his quality. He is technically very clean, he has good close control, he can dribble, combine in tight spaces, and he is surprisingly strong physically too. He is around 1.86 meters tall, strong in duels and capable of holding defenders off, but at the same time he is mobile enough to drift across all three attacking lanes. That balance is very important, because Barcelona do not just need a finisher anymore, they need a complete modern forward who can elevate the entire attack. And one thing I really noticed watching João Pedro is how much he loves combining with teammates around the edge of the box. Quick 1-2s, layoffs, dragging defenders out of position, creating spaces for midfield runners. These are exactly the types of actions that could massively benefit players like Pedri, Fermin and Dani Olmo. And honestly, the player who could benefit the most from João Pedro might actually be Lamine Yamal. Imagine having a striker that understands combination play at a very high level, constantly moving inside, opening passing lanes and allowing Lamine to drift into more dangerous central areas instead of always being isolated out wide. That could completely change Barcelona's attack. Another thing that stands out is his pressing. Modern football is all about intensity and João Pedro fits that perfectly. He presses aggressively, works hard defensively and has already proven he can survive physically in the Premier League against powerful defenders every single week. That matters a lot. Because under Flick, the striker is not only expected to score goals, the striker is expected to lead the press, disrupt build-up play, and help the team recover possession high up the pitch. João Pedro gives you that. Now of course, there are still some concerns. One issue is decision-making. Sometimes at Chelsea, João Pedro tries to force shots instead of making the extra pass. There are moments where he probably needs to trust his teammates more. But honestly, part of that might come from the fact that Chelsea's attack has been extremely inconsistent. At Barcelona, surrounded by players like Pedri, Lamine Yamal, Dani Olmo, Rafinha and Fermin, those situations could look completely different. The overall quality around him would naturally improve his game too. And another important point is versatility. João Pedro is not limited to only playing as a striker. He can play underneath another forward, drift into wide areas, or even operate almost like a false 9. That flexibility is huge for a long-term project because football is constantly evolving and Barcelona need attackers who can adapt to different systems over time. Now obviously the big comparison people will make is Julian Alvarez, and honestly Julian is still the more complete and proven player overall right now. But João Pedro shares many similar qualities while potentially being much more realistic financially. Chelsea are in a difficult situation financially and there is a real possibility they may need to sell players this summer. That is why Barcelona are monitoring this situation very closely. And personally, I think João Pedro would make a lot of sense for this team. He fits Flick's style, he improves Barcelona's inside combination play, he presses aggressively, he links attacks together, and he gives the team tactical flexibility. He is not just a goal scorer, he is a modern attacking player that can make the entire system function better. Now the big question is whether Barcelona can actually afford the move and whether Chelsea are truly willing to negotiate. But purely from a football perspective, João Pedro absolutely looks like a player Barcelona should seriously consider. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Would you take João Pedro at Barcelona, or would you still prefer someone like Julian Alvarez instead? Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.